The Hitman's Bodyguard. You know, there just aren't a lot of movies coming out or being turned out these days that I'm interested in anymore. The only reason I went to see this was last Saturday I did have an opportunity to spend time with my younger brother, who I hardly get to see. So we went and saw it. I was actually more interested in the movie Annabelle Creation, creepy doll story. This one looks like an actually good horror movie, which is lacking. I don't know. Haven't seen it yet. We went to see this, and my brother is into these movies more than I am. But even he admits they're getting, if not already were, really repetitive and well, mostly just either flashy or funny, but not always, actually rarely, an inventive kind of funny. Rarely. You know, we watched the new Power Rangers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Star Wars movies be wussified and destroyed by feminism and fake tolerance, tolerance of intolerance. But, well, Rogue One was better than The Force Awakens, but not enough so to get me back on board with the new movie episodes. I do like some of the novels that are coming out now, but those are not the same thing. Power Rangers wasn't totally destroyed, but well, you can go see my review of that. That pretty much says what I think about it. Not totally destroyed, but not what I wanted either. Not close. I refused to go see Wonder Woman at all, anticipating, of course, and of course it was, from clips I saw of it and reviews and talks people gave, it would be the cliche culmination of society-shattering feminist ideology, and I am most likely, for these reasons, among others, some discussed by the Council Force cast, who I've gotten some Star Wars novels recommendations from. They're very good. That team is very good. And I'm not even going to bother with The Last Jedi. Don't know if I specifically recommend that, but I'm done with movies until they get a lot more creative. Of course, the height of my exasperation was Transformers: The Last Night. That movie felt twice as long as it actually was, and it was almost 3 hours as it was. I was literally, from the first minute to the last, screaming inside, "Dear God, when will this agony end?" And I'm an atheist. And still am, because there was no mercy. It's pure agony. This movie, The Hitman's Bodyguard, I've seen movies like this before. Kind of funny, not much else. The movie begins with one man, Ryan Reynolds' character, who was hired to protect people, failing in his task. The person he was protecting is killed by a sniper shot just as he is taking off on a plane, supposedly when he was about to be transported either back home or into some relative safety. All safety is an illusion anyway. Or a lie, or very temporary. We see this guy a couple or a few years later, and he's divorced from his wife. Big surprise. So they split because he believes that she let slip information about the guy he was protecting some time ago in the beginning of the movie, and as a consequence was responsible for his death, which ruined the husband's career. And not much else. How exactly those dominoes fell, I'm not explained. She says she was not the one who betrayed this information to the enemy. Now, we don't know why he believes that she was the one who blabbed. Anyone he worked with or under could have been the turncoat. Even so, without any other information to go on, it's not a completely unreasonable suspicion. We know that in times of hardship, particularly nowadays, women will leave their men when the men begin to face financial troubles or job troubles. I mean, watch The Wolf of Wall Street. The wife gets cold feet and leaves her husband the day she discovers, well, the night, but the same 24-hour period, or next, that he might actually be in trouble over his head. When before, she was well aware of what his job was and still was very happy to live the lifestyle he supported, he provided. Fortunately, the main couple in this movie split before they had a family, so at least didn't destroy any children's lives in this story, but that's not what usually happens. So many families, including the one I grew up in, children are not spared. Samuel L. Jackson, who is an actor I've not seen many movies he stars in, plays, ironically, even with the left trying to push the condemnation of ethnic stereotypes, even though stereotype really just means generalization. Not inherently negative or even wrong. It plays a pretty stereotypical black assassin. Rough and crude and unapologetic of it, and eventually given a somewhat sympathetic backstory. He is at least an accomplice in efforts to dethrone a genocidal tyrant, but of course, throughout human history, what that often leads to is merely the rise of another, or something yet worse. I do at least finally understand what everyone was saying about this guy being really miscast to play Mace Windu. The books and comics tried to make it work, and I think somewhat succeeded. I've not read Shatterpoint yet. As I said, I am starting to collect Star Wars novels. But, I mean, I finally saw that point come through, at least. I guess what infuriated me most about the movie, what I most disliked, was the relationships between the men and women, the two main couples, well, Ryan Reynolds and his wife, ex-couple, their relationships. Samuel L. Jackson's character, Darius Kincaid. In the beginning of the movie, he's in prison. He's making a deal to be a witness against this dictator figure. I guess I forget the character's name, but you know, I'm probably never going to watch this movie again. So, he's making a deal to be a witness. Ends up killing him at the end of the movie, but you know, if that's a huge spoiler, I think you kind of missed the character. Anyway, and he's making, and so the deal is, if he goes and does this, he will, his wife will get out of prison. I don't know if it ever tells us what his wife's in prison for. I guess she was an accomplice in something. And she's pathetic anyway. So he is making a deal where he will stay in prison, she won't. He is, not that he hasn't done it before, but he's putting his life on the line. His career's, I think, already destroyed. He's going to be in prison for a long time. He is going through a lot of effort to free her, to defend her. And she's completely unappreciative of him, even though he's getting her out of prison with this deal. If he fails, he pretty much dies anyway, and, you know. And she does boast about his skills once, but that's because, you know, she has even more contempt for the police, and, you know. But she's completely unappreciative of him. Or they just like throwing insults at each other, in which case they're both masochists. And Ryan Reynolds' character, we're not given enough of a story to know if his believing that his wife that betrayed the information he was trying to keep secret. I'm not even sure how that worked. Was she working with him? Anyway, we don't have enough detail of how the events transpired after this Japanese guy he was defending in the beginning movie. We don't know how that unfolded, where she was the suspect, which is, I mean, it's not a totally unreasonable suspicion, but they broke up because he accused her. I mean, a false accusation is terrible, but again, we're not given much detail is the problem. And a lot of the destruction wrought by false accusations is actually done by women. Anyway, so she is mad at him. But she wants him to protect Darius, who is an enemy to him. It's actually really messed up if you try to explain it like this. The whole movie's messed up. It doesn't logically work, except in one of these, you know, silly assassin movies. So she's calling him in for a very risky job. They're already broken up. She says, either I broke up with you, or I'm pissed at you, or something, because you couldn't even forgive me for something I didn't do. And then, near the end of the movie, Ryan's character is telling Samuel's character, I forget Ryan's character's name, but again, I don't care to watch this movie again, so is telling him what happened between them. And the guy who was protecting got shot, and Samuel L. Jackson laughs, says, "Oh, I was the one who did it." And you know, realistically, Ryan's character is pissed off at this, as he would be, as he should be. Although, and that was a totally ridiculous shot anyway. I mean, the only one I think who could realistically make that shot that I've heard of is maybe Chris Kyle, which I am sorry for what happened to him. My younger brother and I should talk about American Sniper again. That was a good movie. Terrible situation. What's happened to cultures all over the world, but the movie is technically good. Anyway. So Samuel L. Jackson is laughing. Said, "I was the one who did it." And Ryan's character says, "Well, I you know, now I've learned to forgive her. Not because he learned the truth, but because there's been time where he's been through a lot, or they tried to go through a lot." Anyway, yeah, this is not how life works, but and then Darius laughs again and says, "Women don't like to be forgiven. That implies that they did something to begin with." And of course, this is an appeal to that I've even heard people live say this. Women can do no wrong. Women are always right. That is a terrible, terrible message. Terrible message and terrible lesson to both men and women, to boys and girls, boys or girls, men or women. Everyone is fallible. Everyone is capable of either making good choices or bad choices. Acting on impulse, acting on greed, acting on anger, jealousy, hate. If you hold any group of people without reason to different standards than another, you lose the right to talk about equality.